Hey everybody, thanks for stopping back in at the Red Barn. Last episode we made some good progress with the fluid reservoirs getting figured out. In this episode, I got to make progress on the struts to support the lower transaxle mount. Oh, we also got to check in on the kitties. Anyway, hope you enjoy this one. Well, I figured I'd fit the axles, and as I was putting them in, I don't know if I can get a good angle on this. That's a pretty good angle. That's the stock shock length at full droop, unsupported. And it looks absolutely impossible. So I, obviously I don't want to damage anything, but I got out the handy dandy angle finder, and that's about 24 degrees. And believe it or not, that's like the limit-ish area that these things say they'll... I don't know if they say they run at that angle, but I think they can. It's obviously never going to see that in real life. But what's just absolutely fascinating to me is, you know, I can just turn the wheel and it doesn't seem to mind it at all. It's not making any weird noises, and I can do it by hand. And, you know, there's still movement in the axle. It is absolutely crazy. So I think the good news is I can, and you know, you can see the boots interfering with the cutout for the stub axle opening. So obviously this is not ever how it's going to be run, but it's kind of encouraging that I can at least, you know, any little bit of amount of droop I take out of this is going to be probably just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and put the wheel back on it and get it on the ground and sort of see where the ride height angle looks like it's going to be. It's a little higher than ride height, I think, that it's going to end up at. But we're at about 12 degrees. So I think my estimate was off by about 1 degree. I think I was shooting for like 11, or targeting. I thought it would be about 11. And it looks like the boot touches up here, but it doesn't. Now, obviously, when it goes into full droop, it touches. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that and see if it rubs. In worst case, I can get a shorter boot or one that's more triangulated as it comes out, and it doesn't have this tall of a bellows at the sort of the inside edge, and that'll solve that problem. So I just got to keep an eye on that. Remember that might be an interference there, but this should work. Well, it better work. And you know, you can see there's just a ton of axle capability for movement here, and as you saw in the earlier video, when this thing's full straight up, it's still got clearance axle movement in there. So that is what that's going to look like. And there are both axles in. The world's first time a Ferrari 6-speed manual has been connected to a 914. Pretty cool. Torque distribution washers in. I got to get another set of bolts for these. I had to order the special, different, you know, it's 10 by 125 thread. And I neglected to account for the thrust washer, or the torque distribution washer, and the Schnorr washer distance. And so these are a little bit short. But here's the real kicker. I have to support this lower rear pivoting link transmission thing, and there's sort of no great place for it. I really like the way this looks, and I don't want to clog it up, even if I move these hoses or rerouting them. You know, I don't want to clog it up with a brace in here. And besides, I can't do it on this side, on the shifter side, because the shifter stuff is in the way, right? I can't get it inside. I couldn't get it in there. And I don't want to do, like, you know, some other kind of bracket out here. I don't know. Plus, this is already a bending moment. So I think, as much as I don't really love the look, I think what's going to have to happen is this. Probably a gusset like that, with a bolt hole, and this would just have a bung welded to the back of it. And so that would be a gusset like this. And then same thing down there, just a bung on the, a couple of tabs rather, with a bung for this bar. So this bar would be removable from both places because I don't want it, extending out and flapping around as part of that pivoting mount. And obviously I don't want it, you can't hang down in there. I got to get the motor out. So this is going to have to be removable. Just get both of those braces in there. It's purposeful and it's structurally sound. So that's more important than what it looks like at this point. It really I have to get past the what it looks like and make it work kind of a thing. So back at the secret undisclosed shop, working on the lathe to make those bungs for the struts. And the first thing I did is just do a center drill to get the spot marked so I can start actually drilling the hole through there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. And I gotta just knock off that little end piece and 3 more of those and we'll have all of our bungs. Okay, then with the bungs done, now it's time to notch the tubes that I'm gonna use for those struts. And I'm just gonna do a straight 90, and these are gonna go on here. And then because it's not completely 90 degrees, everything to the upper curved bar where it's gonna go in the corner, and it's not exactly 90 to the tube at the bottom of the rear hoop for that pivoting link, we'll adjust for that in the tabs that these locate to, but we'll have 2 identical struts. So I won't have to worry about side to side or anything like that. These pieces that are removable can go on either side. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this. And I'll just tidy this cut up on the disc sander. And then the bung will sit right in there like that. So I'm gonna go do a test fit and figure out exactly how long this end needs to be. And here you might be able to see what I was talking about. Since this lower bar is not at a dead 90, the tabs are gonna have to be different lengths if I'm gonna put this here, right? The only way if they were the same length, they would kick it back 90 degrees to that lower tube, which I don't want. I want it to be coincidental with this node and then tie up into here. So just trying to get a feel for where I want to put things. And I don't want the tabs right in the corner, so I've got plenty of extra room. And I'll build these tabs to fit the tubes once I've made them. And so that mark is where the edge of the hole saw will go once I get it all set up. And now because I want notches to be in plane with one another, I'm not gonna eyeball that. I'm gonna put this tube in here, and while getting it lined up lengthwise on the end here, I'm gonna watch my level and get it zeroed before I cut the hole. Now I can cut the hole. And now let's go check this out in the car. And so that you're not too concerned when you see the sparks flying, these actually are OSHA approved safety glasses that are prescription. So I am wearing my safety glasses. And then I can kind of eyeball where this is gonna go. And it's gonna go, I don't know, can you see that? About in there-ish. And now I can go design up the tabs. But first I'll go make up another one of these tubes as an exact match to this one. Okay, with the bungs ready to go and the tubes prepped, I just pinned the bungs down in place to make sure they're completely dead level with each other while this is going in. Because any inaccuracies, any degree off, or partial of a degree off in that hole saw, you can see it rocks a teeny bit. It's not an absolutely perfect fit, but this ensures that the length stays where it's supposed to and that these things stay parallel with each other. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tack this in place now. And before I do, I forgot to tell you, why is there paper under here? The bungs are just a little bit bigger on purpose, a little bit thicker than an inch, and so this paper is happens to be the right size to split the difference and just space the bar up a little bit. And I'm not going to completely weld it so it's not going to light on fire or anything. And that's one tack. And as I'm doing the second one, I figured, well, I'll just use the first one as a fixture. So just bolted the bungs to it, slid the tube in, and I'm just going to tack that together like that. And then these will be ready to start to be played with to get the tabs worked out. And without tabs, that gives you the idea of, you know, there they are. And so I think I'm going to end up having to make one side of one tab set and get it tacked on to position the tube, and then get the measurements to get the other, you know, the other end. If I do the lower part first on one side, do the upper part of one side, and just sort of work my way around. You know, it ends up being best to sort of build in place to make sure everything fits, since it's not CAD, you know, computer designed and all that good stuff. But yeah, coming along. Then I just designed up a mock-up tab, and I'm going ahead and cut that now. All right, as I get ready to fit all this, as I mentioned, I start with thinner sheet metal just because it's easier to get the shape to work. You know, cardboard to start maybe, but invariably cardboard or, you know, cardstock can move, and I really can't, at least for me, I can't tell where I really need to be until I get it into steel. So I just use leftover scrap pieces and get the shapes worked out where I can do a quick trim, and then I can measure this and then duplicate it in exactly the right material. And what's going to be impossible to show you, I'll just explain it. This curve, this tube, curves, as you can see, but it's also tipped and rotated, I guess that's counterclockwise from where I'm sitting, into this plane. And that makes this junction, it means that this tube's actually pointed this way. And what that translates to is significantly, although it doesn't look like it, significantly different shapes and different positions relative to, you know, where the hole is from this dimension on the rear tab and this dimension on the front tab, because it's tipped, the tube is actually twisting in order to point in the right direction. So long story short, it's in and out a bunch of times to figure out the exact dimensions, and I just cut, you know, plasma cut these pieces as you saw. And then this one on the bottom, I just did a quick tab. And the nice thing is this can rotate, obviously. So if I don't get it exactly right, I can see what angle it's going to hit the bottom tube at. So now as I go to put this in here, this is how it should go. These should go in like this-ish. And those look like they fit pretty well. And you can see that this rotation, as I rotate it, it brings the bung closer to the tube. And that's completely weldable like that. Yeah, so I might shorten this a little bit to get the angle a little steeper. So this is more directly pointed at this node. Bring it up just a little bit. So I can just use a barrel sander to bring that 1-inch dimension, that 1-inch opening back into the tab a little bit. But let me show you what's going on. So if I show you from the top, you can see that fastener is tipped this way, right? Because you can see the tube, right? This one goes straight across the car. That one is, because it's curved and rotated forward, it's going like that. So that's the dimensional difference in those holes. And you can see it got a nice fit there. It's going to be really hard to show you this side, but can I show you this side? Not really. Okay, and then down here you can see what I mean. I like to have that point a little more 45, so I'm going to shorten that tab up just a little bit. And then I'll have the dimensions. Now, I'm also going to test fit this same set of tabs on the other side, just to make sure that whatever asymmetry I've got in my chassis and in these, where these bars are placed, isn't too crazy, and I don't have to have an individual tab set for each side. But let's see how that goes. Well, somebody probably already thought of this, but I just put that tab onto the other side, and you can see that it's pretty much exactly what I want. So I actually need to make a shorter one for the other side now, and we should be home free on the lower set of tabs. And there it is with both mock-up tabs in place. So there's the bottom at basically a 45 up to the top. So now I know my dimensions and I can cut the material in the final size. Got to do a check on this side first. All right, and then flipped around, these two tabs fit just perfectly, so that's great news. No changes needed there. This is just the teeniest bit loose down here. You can't see it from that angle, but when I put it in line with where I want it, it's just, I mean, I could probably make it work, but I don't want to, you can see it moves that much. And if I push it all the way down here, you can see that little gap. That's how much difference there is side to side, barely. So pretty good. So I'm just going to extend the dimensions of those two tabs to account for this side, and then I'll just sand them back that little bit to have them fit on this side, and we'll be all set. Well, that's uncomfortable to get to, but that gets the back one tacked. That's harder work than it looks like. And as you really get things bolted down, it really starts to make you get honest with some other things that I didn't really think about. Those two tabs on the bottom aren't aligned. By the time you get this end where it needs to be, they're actually slightly out of place. So at first I was like, how come it's not fitting right? And then I realized I had tightened those down, and it was forcing these positions, or these two plates, out of position. So got that corrected, and I didn't film it, but I was able to get back in here and get this welded from the outside. Really kind of, it was difficult for me to get at, not the world's greatest welds, but they won't fail. And then as you saw, this now just sneaks in there, and in it goes. That looks good. I just need to get the lower tabs welded on and then move on to that side. All right, second side, all nicely fit. And it looks like it checks out visually. And with that, our lower pivoting link transaxle mount is done. And I got the upper mount gussets final welded, so those are all done. And now I'm just going to go ahead and put this thing back in there and see how these struts go back in, fingers crossed. Okay, moment of truth. This strut goes in. A little tight, but I figured it might be. But that goes in, and this should swing right up into there, which it does. Bam, right perfect in. And how'd we do on this side? Let's see if we can duplicate that joy. And even better, snug, but got a little bit of room to move. And right up into there. Boom! Look at that! Well, I don't know about you, but when my handmade stuff goes together that nicely, I'm calling that a huge success, so yay. All right, well, on that happy note, I'm gonna call this episode done. And as always, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate any comments and questions. Please subscribe if you haven't, and we'll catch up with everybody again real soon. Take care now, bye-bye. It wouldn't be an At the Red Barn video if we didn't go check in on the kitty cats. Let's just do a real quick one. Oh, how are the maniacs?
Fine, I was just weighing them.
Oh, how's everybody weighing?
Good.
Oh, there's Smash. He's jumping down. Hi, buddy. Oh, hi. Look at you. Look at you. Hi. What's that? Oh, you're gonna get me? Oh, bap, bap, bap. Bap, 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 bap. Hi. Hi. Oh, hi, Mama J. How's Mama J? Mama J's doing really good. The kitties are grown. They're growing like mad. I got to be careful where I move myself because they are,
right under your toes.
They are attacking me and climbing up my pant legs. And oh my gosh, the personalities on these guys, they're the greatest. Look at the Punch Man. He is a crack up. And everybody's come out of their shell. Bespy is still a little bit quiet. But Toddy here is quite the adventure girl.
So Punch is almost 3.5 pounds. He's 3.46.
Look at that boy, 3.5 pounds.
Smash is 3.1.
Wow, over 3. The boys are over 3.
And both of the girls are right under 3.
What's that? And look at Toddy wants to come in for a close-up. Yeah, and I don't know if you heard that, the girls are just under 3. And so we're just waiting for the spay and neuter clinic. But these guys...
No, I don't want to give them up.
We don't want to give them up. They're so awesome. And look at this. I mean, just jump right up on you like nobody's business. But I have to admit, this guy right here, well, these two boys are my favorites. They are so, so cute.
Bad father.
Hi, buddy. Look at that face. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh,
Sneezing.
tail up kitty. Look at that tail up kitty. Hi, Toddy.
Oops.
Oh, Mom's up there having lunch.
Yep.
And everybody's just kind of hanging out here on a nice day.
Yeah, now's our quiet time.
Oh.
The middle of the afternoon is warm.
Yeah, it's a little bit warm today. They're a little bit slow, nothing maniacal like last time. But there you go. That's just a quick check-in. The only thing to report is that they're all happy and healthy and developing wonderful personalities. Man, look at the size difference. That boy is huge. Yep.
Yeah, and look at him.
The food, and you wonder why? He's a food hog. Anyway, there you go. So, as you've heard me say before, support your local rescue. This is very important work.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody.